White currant represents one of the most delicate berry categories cultivated within cooler regions of Europe, particularly in horticultural landscapes shaped by historical home gardening, monastery orchards, and domestic fruit preservation traditions. Classified scientifically as a pale-fruited variant of Ribes rubrum, the species diverges from its better-known red relatives not through botanical restructuring, but through selective lineage maintained over centuries. That preservation allows white currant to stand as one of the few berry types whose value lies not in bold intensity, but in quiet refinement. Its development stems largely from selective cultivation in temperate zones of Germany, France, England, Scandinavia, Poland, and the Baltic regions. Unlike other fruit crops introduced through colonial movement, white currant grows deeply in association with the lands that shaped it. In historical horticulture records dating back to the 16th century, pale currants appear within aristocratic gardens where fruit aesthetics carried symbolic footing. Transparent berries were prized visually, especially when arranged in large clusters hanging against dark foliage. Their brightness provided contrast that allowed gardeners to showcase ripeness through color clarity rather than deep pigmentation. Structurally, white currants grow as pendulous clusters. Each berry is a small translucent orb, housing minuscule seeds and a gelatinous pulp. While their sweetness is higher than red currants, their acidity remains present, though subtle rather than sharp. When light passes through their surface, internal seed arrangements become visible, giving the fruit an almost crystalline quality. For centuries, this visual characteristic elevated white currants beyond simple agricultural produce. They became ornamental food. What distinguishes white currants nutritionally is the near absence of intense anthocyanins that normally provide dark pigmentation. Instead, the fruit contains alternative antioxidant pathways involving polyphenols, vitamin C concentration, and tannin-mineral interactions. Research comparing red and white currants demonstrates that the pale cultivars maintain protective molecules and retain many of the same phytochemical capacities even though color intensity suggests otherwise. Contrary to consumer assumptions, paleness does not signify deficiency, rather, it expresses genetic variation. White currant shrubs possess notable resilience. The growth cycle thrives in temperate climates with moderately cold winters. Dormancy ensures bud renewal, and soil adaptation covers a broad range. However, fruiting intensity correlates strongly with pruning strategy. Historical agricultural texts reveal that gardeners developed annual pruning cycles, removing one-third of active branches to stimulate cluster formation. Without such methodical trimming, shrubs grow dense foliage with lowered productivity. A defining cultural habit surrounding white currant is its preservation footprint. European archival cookbooks dating to the 1700s mention clear currant jelly, a preserve prized for clarity. Unlike red jelly, white currant jelly acquired a glass-like transparency, allowing intricate food presentation often used in pastries, glazing meats, enriching tea infusions, and layered desserts. Traditional culinary grammar connected clarity to refinement. Crafting a transparent jam required skillful heat management to avoid clouding. In more modern food science perspective, white currant flavor offers complexity ideal for reduced sugar processing. Because acidity is mellow, sweetness remains round rather than sharp. Very few fruits hold the same sensory structure, a mild initial sweetness followed by soft tartness without bitterness. That profile makes white currant extract desirable in sorbet manufacturing, aromatic cordials, and bright dessert sauces. Gardeners historically trusted white currant shrubs as symbolic family plantings. Records across rural England illustrate families growing shrubs that persisted across generations. The perennial nature of Ribes shrubs allowed longevity reaching multiple decades, meaning one bush could feed households for years. This multi-generational growth pattern ties fruit to memory and seasonal ritual. Examining white currant through horticultural trade, its commercial presence remains smaller than red or black currant. Global food industry demands strong coloration. Pigments define branding in beverage and confection markets. Yet white currant preserves occupy fine produce shelves and independent artisan markets, spaces where product storytelling is valued. The fruit's cultural premium rests not on ubiquity but rarity. Scientific studies examining pest resistance observed that white currants experience lower aphid concentration than red varieties. Some attribute this to differing aromatic compounds released from plant tissue. Still, nearly all Ribes species require consistent air circulation to prevent mildew development. Traditional gardeners countered this using wide plant spacing, directional pruning and late spring thinning. Botanically, white currants' genetics trace to recessive pigmentation suppression. Though not genetically separate species, pale-fruited plants consistently pass their trait when propagated vegetatively. This allows cultivar lineage to persist identically. Famous named cultivars, such as White Versailles, Blanca, and Primus, expanded across Europe through deliberate exchange networks. In household consumption, fresh eating remains rewarding yet fragile. Skin tension bursts easily, berries crush under minimal pressure. At optimal ripeness, the interior pulp resembles thick nectar. Flavor expands with ambient temperature, meaning cold berries taste faintly sweet, while room-warm fruit releases soft floral aroma. When paired with dairy, acidity balances fat. When used against rich cheeses, currant acidity appears cleansing. Agronomically, modern nurseries continue selecting for larger berry bunches and firmer skins. Commercial strategy focuses less on bulk quantity and more on specialty premium yield. White currant therefore remains protected from over-industrialization, maintaining identity as quiet garden fruit rather than mass-scale supply chain commodity. Within European heritage landscapes, white currants represent continuity. Shrubs flourish beside stone walls, farmhouse entryways, monastery gardens, small orchards working as companion perennials rather than fields. Their presence indicates food preservation culture, domestic agriculture, and generational knowledge transmission. Few fruits represent this relationship so clearly. When examining white currants scientifically, historically and culturally, their significance becomes greater than size or pigment. They serve as living archival plants that carried household nutrition, contributed elegant culinary expression and survived through centuries of selective preservation. Today, tasting white currants offers something beyond sweetness, tasting horticultural continuity, tasting the evolution of home gardening traditions, tasting a fruit that expresses its refinement through quiet radiance rather than dramatic color.